Today we are going to start connecting to an important big data source, and that is the YouTube data, which is available as a service from Google Cloud Platform. So we did introduce the concept of cloud, like cloud computing, and what is a cloud service yesterday. So we're gonna go to the hands-on directly. So I have opened the Google Cloud. Let me see. Okay, so I'm just gonna use this one. Now, because sometimes the interface and like the way the platform behave is could be affected by the history of my interaction with the platform. So I'm using a new account. So hopefully you will have the same, it wouldn't be affected by my history, so that you can see, like it would be similar to what you would see when you get to try it. Okay, so this is the home page. Okay, and I just created a new account, so I have $300 free credit. We're not gonna use any of them. It just you just have it. You can try out the different services if you want. Okay, so now I am going to go to the API. Okay, so yesterday we kind of talked about this. So if we go to APIs and services, and if we go to libraries, now we can see all the different libraries that we can access. All right, and we are particularly interested in the YouTube API data. So now it's completely new to us. We never interacted with it. So the real skill in this field is that you can navigate your way through something that you don't know, something new to you. Because even if you already know something, it just give it a few weeks and come back to it, it's very much likely it has changed. Okay, so it is the skill of navigating through something new is a survival skill in this field. Okay, so now we want to get some data from YouTube data API, but we don't know much about it. Now they already know how the field works and how things get changing. So they provide, when someone provides a service like this, they also provide information on how to access it. Okay, so now let's go and see what they have to offer and how can we work with it. Now I happen to enable it. Now for you, when you get to try it, it's gonna be, this button is gonna say enable, because it was not, okay. I can actually disable it just I mean, okay, so let me show you how it look like if it's not enabled. So I didn't enable this service here. So you see, it will tell you, do you want to enable this? You can click on it, on this button, and then it will say disable, it will say manage when it's enabled. Okay, but let's ignore this part. Okay, now we want to learn. We want to know what is this service and what does it have to offer, and how can we benefit from it and all that. Now, if you look at this overview page, it gives you some information about the company that offers it and what does it mean in general. And then usually there are tutorials and documentation linked. So if we go to the this link for the tutorial and documentation, you will see there are a lot of information there. We are interested in YouTube data. Okay, so let's go to the overview. Obviously, the references will give you like more complete reference, but we want to start with something. So we start with the overview, the page or the documentation of the overview. Okay. So that will give you introduction. What are you trying to, what is the service that we're looking into? Yes.
What data are we accessing? User data or public data?
Where is that? Where are you looking?
Says I need to
You still creating an account?
I created. This is.
Okay, so we can get to this, so you know. Don't need skip for me, I'll get to this point. Okay. So we go to overview data and you can see here, it tells you step by step what you need to do. Okay, so first you need to create an account, and then you can go to the Google Developer Console and create a project. All right, I already created a project. Okay, but let's switch to my other account. Okay, let me sign out from here. Okay. No, it kicks me out. Right, so let's see. So I'm gonna go to the console and it asks you to create a project. So I did create a project, and then the next step is it asks you to request credentials. Okay. Okay. Now there are two types of credentials. We need either API key or the authentication. Okay. Okay, so now how do I know about the authorization? If you go there, it tells you that there are two types of credentials that you can use in order to access the data. One of them is the token-based authentication, and the other is the API key. Okay, now we are interested in the API key. The token-based authentication just ask you to log into your Google account and then create a token based on that, and then anybody who has this token would be able to access anything that is accessible through your account. So it's kind of risky. So we're only gonna use API keys. So you're gonna need this authentication, token-based authentication, if you want to access your own channel to edit it or something like upload videos and stuff like that. So that needs authentication. But we're gonna work with just reading data, accessing general data and reading them, reading public data. So we just only need API keys. Okay, so how would we do that? You can always follow the steps provided. So the steps will tell you to go to the credentials tab here, and you can click on create credentials. You can choose the type of credentials that you want. I would choose API key. Okay, so this is what I did, and this is what was generated. All right, so this is what we're going to use for authentication whenever we want to access the data. Okay. All right, now when you create it for the first time, it will show up, but you don't have to copy it right away because it's accessible through your account. So it is already stored there. All right. Okay, so now we're done with this part. Let's keep going then. What happens next? I have a project and I have credentials. Now it tells you select a client library. So what does that mean? We know what a client is, right? So now the service, they offer the data accessible through a service they offer on their server, right? Now we need to access it. So we need their service is available upon request. So we need some software, some code that is able to send request and receive response, right? And that's what we call the client. Remember what we talked about, client server architecture? So they have the server and they offer services to execute certain functions. Now we need a client to be able to access the service. Okay. Now, this is meant to be part of another application meant for developers. So the client will come as a library. Okay, so you can go there to choose what kind of client you want based on the language you are writing your application with. So if you're writing with Java, there's a Java client library, there's JavaScript, there's .NET, there's all different types of libraries, including Python. Now we are interested in Python. You can click here or you can see the Python samples, but this is a little bit of a next step. Now, what is the first step we want to start with to avoid confusion? There is always something like a link that says get started or start here or quick starts. So this is what you want to go and start learning because that's the least confusing thing for beginners to learn. So if we look at the panel here, at the side panel here, you will see that some quick starts for all the available possible libraries. So we can start here. We are interested in Python, so let's go there. Okay, so here we go. This is the quick starter for Python, and it tells you need to create a project and you need API authentication. Now, so this is on the server side. Okay, a project on the server side, an API key on the server side. Now, what happens on the client side, I'm going to use my computer as a client when I write my code to connect to that server to get the data. Okay, so I need to install this library. Now, what is a library? We talked about modules, right? Python modules, it's reusable code. Some people write code and make it available for others to use, right? So just like we can import from modules we create, we can also import modules other people create. We just have to install the package that include them. Okay, and for that installation, we need some like package manager like pip. Okay, so we can say pip install and the client library that we have here. Now, if we are going to use the token-based authentication, we would need also to install these two libraries. But for this exercise, we only need the pip install, the main API Python client. Okay, so I can open any terminal, any command line terminal, and got this command, pip install command. And this is the name of the client library for Python. I already installed it, so it's not gonna do much. The requirement already satisfied. Okay. Now I have it installed. I can access it through my code now. Okay, if it was installed properly, but I have it prepared. Now let's see what is the next step. Okay, we need an API key. We already have it. Now let's go to this sample run. So if you're interested to try out the token-based authentication, you can try this example here. We're not gonna try it now, but it's available for you to try.